Hey guys, and a happy Valentine's Day to you all. I have all these lovely flowers here for decoration, but they have to be on a table, so they're going over here. This is going to be a kind of shorter video, but it is very important to me. I'm going to be kind of starting a series of kind of stories that my grandfather has told over the years. So my maternal grandfather, William Sanderson, died on October 1st this last year at the age of 93. So my grandfather had dementia. He started developing it when I was young. So he could remember 1942 like it was yesterday, but he couldn't remember if he had eaten that day or where he was eventually. So he told a lot of stories about the past, and every single time it was the exact same way as he remembered it the first time. And occasionally we'd get a new detail, and every couple of years we'd get a completely new story that we had never heard before. So this is going to kind of become a little bit of series, because now that he is gone, I have all of these stories up in my head, and I kind of want to get them out there because I'm always telling them to people. They're my favorite stories of all time, and if I ever start kind of going, I'll still have them on the internet for everyone to remember. So my grandparents were married for 65 years before he died. According to my mother, he met my grandmother, Mary Alice O'Keefe at the time, at a Halloween party when they were both kind of in med school. She ended up being a nurse, and then he ended up being a mechanical engineer during World War II. I'll talk about that another time. And then when he was back and married and had children and all of that stuff, he was a chemical engineer. So they had a long, happy relationship. They had 6 children, 5 sons, and then my mother. Basically, every single time that I was visiting him, even if I wasn't dating someone at the time, he always had a couple of little tips on how to have a successful marriage. Number 1 is listen more than you talk, which did eventually turn into my wife doesn't know how to project loud enough for me to hear her, so I'm just gonna take off my hearing aids and pretend that she's not talking to me or I need to be part of this conversation. But before he started completely losing his hearing, he was working once and was about to go home to his wife and I think children at the time. There were a couple of them. And he told all of his, people that I worked with, who were probably all guys considering it was like the 1950s, I'm gonna go home and give my wife a damn good listening to. He was always very proud of that. Listen to your wife, basically, is how that goes. And another thing he always said, a lot of times without any sort of prompting, was there are only 2 words you need to have a successful and happy relationship. Yes and dear. And another one that I just thought of. Last year he was going to the doctor to have kind of the mental test thing that they do to old people, and his wife, my grandmother, was with him, and so the doctor was asking him questions, and he would look over at my grandma, and the doctor was like, "No, you can't ask her for help." And he said, "But she's my partner in life." And always he did defer to my grandmother with all of these things. He loved her very much. And when they were sitting next to each other and he realized that she was sitting next to him, because occasionally he would forget, he's like, "That's my wife. I love her." He was always very happy and really loved my grandmother and really loved his kids and grandkids and great-grandkids. The camera timed out again for no reason after 8 minutes, so I'm going to be figuring that out. But basically all that I had left to say was I really miss him. And so that has been my late grandfather's tips for a healthy relationship. Hope that you guys liked it. And so that's all I've got for you guys today, and I will see you guys next time.